In 1986, workers digging a clay pit in Sichuan strike the edge of something buried in the clay. Their tools scrape against metal, hard and old. They think they have hit a broken farm tool. Instead, they have opened a sealed ancient pit. Inside are hundreds of shattered, blackened objects. Among them, a face begins to emerge from the dirt. A giant mask, wider than a man's arms. Its eyes are cylinders that jut out from the face. Nothing like it exists anywhere else in China. And to this day, no one knows who made it. This is Sanxingdui in the province of Sichuan, southwest China. Today, we walk through what those diggers found, why it should not exist, and who vanished here. The site sits near the Yazi River in Guang'an. For decades, farmers here turned up strange jade. Small green blades, worn smooth by the plow. No one guessed what lay a few feet down. Then, a brick factory started digging for clay. The very first pit they broke into was simply enormous. Layer after layer of metal, jade, and gold. Everything had been deliberately broken first, smashed, burned, then buried with great care, as if the objects were being sacrificed, offered up, and destroyed. The workers stopped and called the local authorities. Archaeologists arrived and could not believe the scale. The bronze masks are what stop everyone cold. Some are life-sized, with sharp angular features. Others are gigantic, stretching well over a meter across. The largest has eyes on long metal stalks. Pupils pushed out 16 centimeters from the face. Its huge ears flare out to the sides like open wings. It has no true parallel in the ancient world. Scholars still argue about what it represents. A god, a ruler, or a creature glimpsed in a trance. The metal itself was cast to astonishing precision. Thin walls, clean joins, a technology fully mastered. Some masks wear a strange scroll above the brow, a curling shape that no one has ever fully explained. Beside the masks stood rows of severed heads, each with the same sloping brow and sharp jaw. Some heads were once carefully covered in thin gold foil. Their faces gleamed when the pits were first sealed. Then came the single figure that changed everything for the scholars. A standing man, nearly 2.5 meters tall. His hands curl as if once gripping something huge. Whatever he once held in them has never been found. He wears a crown and a long patterned robe. The single heaviest ancient figure in China. His bare feet rest on the heads of two beasts. But the strangest object came out of the ground in pieces. Hundreds of separate fragments were slowly fitted back together. They formed a sacred tree, nearly 4 meters tall. A tall trunk carrying 3 tiers of long, drooping branches. On each branch there perches a small cast bird. 9 birds in all, facing outward from the tree. A slender bronze dragon coils down the trunk's side. No text or label explains what the tree was for. Some believe it was a ladder joining earth to sky, a sun tree from a myth we can no longer read. A second, smaller tree was buried alongside it. Both had been deliberately shattered before they went into the earth. Then the gold began to appear in the pits. Among them, a gold mask, beaten thin as paper, made to be pressed neatly over a cast bronze head, and a golden staff longer than a man's arm, wrapped in engraved gold sheet from end to end. Fish, birds, and arrows chased into the metal. A golden scepter in a land with no known kings. Gold this fine appears nowhere else in the era. Nobody knows where they mined or learned to work it. Here is why Sanxingdui should not exist. Chinese civilization was thought to start elsewhere, far to the north along the banks of the Yellow River. Sichuan was assumed to be a remote backwater. Then a full culture appears here, complete, with no slow buildup, no earlier crude forms. The craftsmanship arrives here already at its absolute peak, as if a civilization switched on overnight. It trades in ideas found nowhere nearby. Nothing like these masks came before or after. The radiocarbon dates settle around 1200 BC, contemporary with the Shang far to the northeast. Yet these two cultures shared almost nothing at all in common. And here is the deepest silence of all. They left behind no writing whatsoever, none at all. Not a single symbol, not a name, not one written record. Every other great early culture wrote something. Egypt, Mesopotamia, Shang China, all left script. Sanxingdui speaks only through its objects. We do not know what they called themselves. We do not know what language they spoke. They appear in no chronicle, no king list. A people entirely absent from written history. Everything we think we know, we read from the metal. Some link them to a lost kingdom called Shu, a name half remembered in much later legends. Those legends speak of kings with strange eyes. A ruler named Kong, said to have strange, bulging eyes, the very feature carved into the largest mask. A myth that seems to describe a real object. But legend is not history, and the gap is vast. 1,000 years of silence lie between them. Later poets wrote that Shu was hard to reach, a hidden kingdom sealed away behind steep mountains and thick cloud. But those poets never once described these staring bronze faces. Then, just as suddenly, the culture vanishes. The city walls at Sanxingdui were left behind. Its people either moved on, scattered, or slowly died out entirely. The great treasures were smashed and buried first. A deliberate act, not a raid, and not an accident. Someone chose to bring this whole world to an end. Whether in ritual or panic, we cannot tell. The center of power shifted to nearby Jinsha. There, the same strange art fades slowly out. And then, without explanation, the whole tradition simply stops. For decades, the two pits were all we had. Then, in 2021, the Earth suddenly gave up far more. 6 new pits were opened at the same site, sealed under climate-controlled glass tents. Diggers now worked slowly in full white protective suits, brushing soil from metal grain by grain. Together, they uncovered thousands upon thousands more objects. Whole elephant ivory tusks lay stacked in careful, deliberate rows. An altar swarming with tiny cast figures. A box with a jade blade sealed inside. And a mask of pure gold, nearly whole. Each find deepened the mystery instead of solving it. Silk traces survived, pressed into the ancient ash. Proof of a rich, lost world we can barely picture. Every new pit raises the same impossible question. How did a culture this advanced leave no name? How did such extraordinary skill seem to appear out of nowhere? How did an entire people fall out of history? The metal holds no answers, only more faces. Faces built to a design we have never decoded, meaning locked in metal for 3,000 years. Some see eyes that worship the sun and sight. Stalked eyes, a bird tree, a golden sun disk. A religion built around seeing beyond the world. Others see a bridge to distant cultures. The gold and ivory hint at long trade routes. Yet the style belongs to no one but them. A civilization that borrowed, then became unique. The truth is, every theory still has a hole. No single answer fits everything found in the pits. So the silent faces keep their secret, at least for now. Today, the finds rest in a museum in Guang'an. The great tree stands restored in a glass tower. The tall bronze figure stands watch over the entire hall, and the giant masks stare from behind glass, their eyes fixed on nothing we can see. You can walk in and stand before them right now. A whole civilization, present and utterly silent. No name, no writing, no place in any record. Just thousands of faces waiting to be understood. 3,000 years on, they still stare and say nothing. A lost world that, by every rule, shouldn't exist.